Axolotls, the carnivorous cuties. We love them so much, why don't we talk more about them? I don't know why I sung that. Howdy, howdy, Eldritch Buddies. This is Kiwi Calamity, and welcome to... Well, I don't exactly know what to call this because, well, essentially I started off with this question, right? Are blue axolotls real? So I went down this rabbit hole of wondering exactly what colors of axolotls are real. And of course the blue one is included in that much. What is fact? What is fiction? We're gonna find out. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a scientist. I'm just an English major weaponized by Google. So if I get something wrong, please go easy on me. Let's go! Let's start us off with a few brief facts, because if we're going to talk about axolotls in real life and what colors they are, you might as well learn a little bit more about them, right? Okay, so our good old friend National Geographic can give us a rundown of what these little guys are like IRL. The first thing you obviously gotta know is that they're named after an Aztec god, and their name essentially means water monster. The basic idea behind the legend is it was a god who disguised himself as a salamander to avoid sacrifice and, I don't know, I guess multiplied. Zeus has done weirder things with swans, so we're not gonna talk about it. But anyway, the cool thing about axolotls is they're essentially permanent tadpoles, in that they permanently stay in this larval state and never truly progress to their full salamander state. This rare trait is called neoteny. That's what makes them stay as these cute little babies with the feathery gills and these cool little tails forever. They can live up to 15 years, and their main diet consists of worms, mollusks, insect larvae, and some fish. So while I don't think they're nomming on Nemo, so to speak, Minecraft did get that part right, but unfortunately, the fish strike back when it comes to real life. Along with our homes being decimated by draining and pollution, invasive predatory fish tend to snack on our squishes. In the wild, they're only found in one place in the world, and I'm gonna just commit to this pronunciation, Xochimilco Lake in Mexico. So they're extremely endangered, with only 700 to 1,200 individuals left in the wild, which is why it's honestly kind of cool that Minecraft wanted to bring attention to them as an endangered species. And speaking of which, let's get on to the part that you guys are all here for. Which Minecraft colors are real, and which ones are fake? The easiest one to get out of the way is the wild type. As the name suggests, our brownie boys are fairly explanatory. They're what the axolotls look like in the wild, which makes sense with camouflaging on the bottom of their lake home. So, myth proven. Leucistic, very real. In the game, they're called Leucy in their files, or more commonly known, they're just the pink variant. But this is the one you'll often see as a precious pet. But did you know why they're called leucistic? Because if they're white, they should be albino, right? Not quite. The main difference is this. They're not fully albino because albino means they're completely lacking in melanin, and leucistic is only partial lack of melanin. So in less sciencey terms, leucistic animals have less of a darker color gene, like black or brown, and albinos don't have any at all. So, myth proven. Next one. Speaking of which, we have gold axolotls, which are technically albinos. So while they do exist IRL, the in-game axolotl should technically have red eyes, so we'll have to give that a half debunk. There are also a few different variants of the albino axolotl, and I was curious about why there would be any difference, or, how they would breed for that much. So I looked more into depth into it, and I found axolotls.org. And essentially what they explain is that the cells that control colors, at least for axolotls, fall under 3 different categories. Melanophores, which control black and brown, xanthanophores, which control yellow and reddish pigments, and iridophores, which control the shiny. And without hurting your head, what I essentially found is the different flavors of albino come from different combinations of these colors, obviously lacking in melanophores, and in the case of the gold, probably having more xanthanophores. No black, more yellow. So that's cool. And the reason I wanted to go over this is because when I tell you there's a few different flavors of albino ahead, you won't just be like, but wait, I thought the gold ones were albino. There's a few different kinds, and that's why. So let's move on. Green axolotls, surprisingly, are technically real. Not in that you can find an actual green axolotl in the wild, but the story behind these little guys is pretty cool. So if you didn't know, Axolotls have an insane regeneration rate. They can grow back arms and even tails, but because their cells grow so quickly, this falls along the same lines of what would normally cause an animal to risk cancer, which is just rapid, unwanted cell growth. But axolotls have evolved to be immune, which is insane. So a few scientists thought to study how this worked, and injected embryos with a green fluorescent protein, or GFP, which, contrary to its name, does not make an axolotl glow. But under UV light, these axolotls can actually appear to glow a fluorescent green. They can actually be any type of color of axolotl, for example, golden or wild or whatever, but the less melanin they have will make them glow an even brighter green. So an albino would glow the brightest, and a wild type axolotl would glow much less. The GFP could also be passed on to their offspring, so these little guys can technically be found as pets too. So myth, true. Next one! So I wanted to talk about how there's a few different unreleased flavors of these adorable squish beans, and I think I found a possible inspiration for one of the two. See, there's this one flavor of albino, see I told you it'd come up again, called a copper axolotl. It could be this apricot assassin or its cool copper cousin. The reason I say it could be either or though, is because one has the reddish gills and kind of similar color, and the other has the distinct coppery spots. But anyway, I mainly included this because the cool thing about these guys is that they're only really found in the United States, Australia, Germany, and not even in other such countries as Canada. So myth proven, unfortunately may not be in the game. So, Cyan axolotls. Now what about my favorite flavor of Cyan squishies? These ones I couldn't really find anything similar to. The closest equivalent I could find in real life was a Lavender axolotl, which I might not even be able to find pictures for that aren't copyrighted. They're kind of rarer in the axolotl pet trade, and the cutest thing about their morph, or color type, is that it's also called the Silver Dalmatian, because they can have gray spots. They're mainly found in the United States, and people like them for their soft purple colors and precious polka dots. So Cruella better watch out, there's a new kind of Dalmatian in town. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for is the blue axolotl reel. Drum roll, please. Nope. Unfortunately, this little mudkip mimic is only an artistic choice. But if you want to know what the rarest IRL axolotl is, it's actually really cool. And this variant is the Chimera/Mosaic axolotl. And the reason I grouped them together is because a few of my articles argued that they might be the same, but just the Chimera's color variation is just different. But anyway, these axolotls cannot be bred for. They are complete accidents. They're formed when two different cells merge, so they'll look like both different types of genes. If one cell was meant to express albino, for example, and the other cell was meant to express wild, the axolotl in question will look half brown and half pink, at least with a Chimera variation. With the Mosaic axolotl, patches of it may appear pink, patches of it may appear brown. It just expresses both at the same time, and that's the important part. Chimera, on the other hand, is unique because it looks like the axolotl is split down the middle by the two different colors. They're usually infertile and unfortunately usually do not survive. Chimeras that usually don't survive because its two different colored sides will often grow at different rates. And there are very, very few Chimera axolotls in the world today. So, I would like to close off this episode with something that's a little more serious, but there's just one thing I want to say. Please don't impulse buy pets. I know these guys seem really cool, and if this video inspired you to try and get one as a pet, then great. But don't look at a pretty axolotl and think, I want that, and just buy it. You won't be happy and the axolotl won't be either. Do some research on what they need. See if you can afford it. Buy what they need, then look for an axolotl. I had to do the same with my corn snake, and we're both a lot happier for it. But anyway, thank you for coming on this color quest with the coolest kiwi. And if you like this vid, you know the drill. Sub, like, etc. And because I am a good college bean, here are the things I used for facts and sources and woo! Either way, I'll see you next time, my buddies. Bye-bye! Oh wow, that really was just a Markiplier buy, but okay, we're going with it.